Hello everyone. I know that there's not much to celebrate at the moment with things being as bad as they are, but there's always one thing that's worth celebrating, and it's a special day today. Of course, that one thing is love. And being St Valentine's Day today, I'm going to cook my husband a bit of a special supper tonight. He's out at the moment. He'll be very cold. Oh, that's not him. I thought I heard him. He'll be very cold and tired. He's been on top of the church tower training up some other fire guards. And when he comes back, I'll have a lovely supper for him. Now, one of his favourite foods is cheese. And I'm going to make a nice cheesy supper and also a rather special pudding. Another of his real favourite foods is pineapple, and a couple of months ago I was really lucky to be able to get a tin of pineapple slices from Mr. Smith. I've kept them hidden in the cupboard for a special occasion such as this. Now, to start with, I've been putting some cold mashed potato through a sieve, 4 ounces, to make sure it's really smooth and no lumps. Pop that through the sieve, make sure you get everything off the bottom of the sieve. That's 4 ounces of cold mashed potato. Now to that I'm adding just half an ounce of melted margarine. Pour that in and give it a stir around. Now, of course, cheese. Only 3 ounces per week per person our ration at the moment. But of course, it's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you've got. And although he used to love cheese on toast, nice thick slices before the war, and cheese sandwiches, I can still pack him off with a packed lunch like today with his fire guard training, with a lovely cheese sandwich. It's just you have to bulk up a very small amount of cheese. So just grate some cheese and put it with mashed potato, give it a good bit of seasoning, a bit of onion perhaps with it, or finely grated leek, or a little touch of Marmite or yeast extracts. Mix that all together with some parsley, and that makes a delicious sandwich filling. Tastes cheesy, but only using a very small amount of your ration. So there's my mashed potato. I'm going to pop that into a mixing bowl, and I'm also going to add about half a teaspoon of salt. So pop that in. And also I'm now going to add some flour, just enough to make a dough. Now, use self-raising flour. Of course, our national wheatmeal flour comes in plain form. So I've measured out 8 ounces, and I've popped in 3 teaspoons of baking powder to turn it into self-raising. Obviously, some mashed potato, depending on your variety and how you cook them, ladies, can end up very wet and mushy, whereas these potatoes, being steamed, cooked in just their steam from the water they were brought to boil in, are quite dry. But that seems to be very good. Add the amount of flour you need to make a sort of pastry type dough that you can roll out. And there, that's ready. So I'm going to pop that onto a board, a floured board, and roll that to about 1/4 of an inch thick. and then I'm going to cut out some cutters. Now you can always make double the mixture. This is only just for the two of us. We're going to have a very quiet candlelit supper tonight, so I don't want to make too much. You could always double the recipe and keep some of these for breakfast, perhaps the following morning. So I'm going to cut out my rounds, and they're going to be fried in just a very shallow fat. So I will get about 4 or 5 out of this mixture. 2 for me and 3 for him. Let's give it another roll until you've used all the mixture up. And there's the last one, 5. Now, as I say, I'm going to take them over to the range and fry them in a very shallow hot fat. But before I do that, I'm going to make the cheesy topping to go on top of these delicious potato cakes. Now, the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to mix 2 dessert spoons level of dried egg with 2 dessert spoons of flour. Put that in. And I shall use my plain flour rather than the self-raising for this. Now mix them together, and then we're going to add a little milk just to mix it into a paste from 1/4 pint of milk. So mix that together to make a paste, and while I'm frying the potato cakes, I shall bring the rest of the milk up to the boil in a saucepan on the range as well. So there's my dried egg and flour paste, the rest of the 1/4 pint of milk into the saucepan, and I'm off to fry my potato cakes too. Now once that milk's warmed up to the boil, pour it onto your egg and flour paste and mix it in. We're then going to take it back to the range to bring it back up to the boil. Stirring all the time. For about 3 to 4 minutes. So let's go and cook it. Now I'm going to add the potato cakes to the hot fat and cook them till they're browned, turning over halfway. And while they're frying, I'm also going to be bringing my sauce up to the boil. And boiling for 3 to 4 minutes. Another way of making your cheese go further is to try some of the Ministry of Food recipes that are available at the moment. Most of the supper dishes only require 2 ounces of cheese to make a really delicious meal. That means that you won't have to use any of your meat ration. It will be a meal in itself, and that will actually give you, for a couple like ourselves, with 6 ounces a week, 3 good meals. And my potato cakes are ready to turn. So when your sauce has thickened and cooked, remove it from the heat. These potato cakes only take a few minutes. Now, while the other side is cooking, I'm going to add some cheese to my sauce, just 2 ounces. Stir that through so that the cheese melts. Now these are looking browned on the other side, so I'm going to pop them on a plate and keep them warm whilst I finish off the rarebit topping. Now, whilst that cheese has melted into the sauce, I'm going to also add some seasoning, some salt and some pepper, and just a little bit of made mustard, only a small amount. That really does help to bring the flavour of the cheese out. I would encourage you always to use mustard, either dry with flour if you're making a cheese sauce, or in any other cheese dish, always use a little bit of mustard. You could use some watercress for flavouring and goodness too, but I haven't got any watercress, but I'm very lucky. In my very sheltered corner in a pot, I've still got some fresh parsley. I'm popping in a good sprinkling of chopped fresh parsley. Give that a good beat, and now we're going to put this on top of our fried potato cakes. Pop your potato cakes onto a tin, especially if you like to have them grilled. If you want to serve them straight away because you've kept them warm, you can, but I'm going to put a lovely helping of the rarebit onto each potato cake, and then I'm just going to pop them back in the oven to brown the top of the rarebit. So come back and see when they're ready. My husband should be home any minute now. I need to put a brush through my hair, smarten up, lay the table whilst these are browning, and there'll be a lovely Valentine's supper for when he comes in. deliciously browned and lovely, the mainstay of our Valentine's supper tonight.